On this episode of YaEat, we will be making lamb stew Italian style and breaking down a leg of lamb.
Spend some time with your family and watch this recipe, and make sure you watch to the end.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of YaEat. As usual, I am really excited to have you here, and I really appreciate all your support. Today, we're going to be making a really simple one-pot recipe that basically cooks on its own. It's really delicious, and today's recipe is going to be lamb stew, Italian style. So I'm ready to make some lamb stew. Are you ready to make some lamb stew? Here we go. Print this and all our recipes on YaEat.tv. So I got a really nice piece of leg of lamb. It was about 5 pounds. Of course, there's going to be a bone going down the center. And we're going to break these sections down, which is usually separated by some fat. And I do this because if you just start cutting this into pieces, then it runs across into the meat and then you wind up chewing on this. So we're going to make some nice cuts and then we're going to dice it up. And at the same time, we're going to be trimming off any excess fat. We're going to remove the bone, but we're not going to discard it. We're going to use that bone and it's going to flavor up our stew. Now I like to cut these into fairly big sized chunks. They look very nice in the stew and they hold together very well. So as I mentioned, this was a 5-pound leg of lamb. I only used about half of it, and the rest I'm going to freeze it and make some kebabs. So I hand crushed some garlic and added some extra virgin olive oil to a saute pan, and I roasted the garlic and I sprinkled some flour on top of the lamb. The reason I do this is that when I'm pan frying the lamb, it helps some of the trimming stick to the pan and get all that flavor when I deglaze it later with the wine. Once your oil is hot enough, let's place the lamb into the pan and we're going to brown them nicely. Like anything else while cooking your protein, you want to keep a close eye on it. You want to keep stirring it. You don't want to burn it, but you want to get a nice brown color to it. So like most stews and soups, this recipe requires a mirepoix, which is 2-part onion, 1 part celery, and 1 part carrot. Here's another reminder that you want to stay on top of your lamb while you're cooking it. Alright, this looks like it's about done, so we're going to start to remove some of this lamb from the pan slowly and prep the rest of our mirepoix. I don't know if you noticed or I forgot to mention, but I do have the bone in here, so I'm roasting the bone and then we're going to cook the bone in the stew and you're going to get a tremendous amount of flavor from that. So we're going to first add our onions and we're going to lightly saute them, and then we're going to add about 2 cups of red wine and we're going to deglaze the pan. So basically we're cleaning the pan with the wine and we're cleaning all the trimmings that stuck to the bottom of the pan, and all that flavor will go into our stew. And you can see how clean the pan is now. Let's add some fresh thyme. At this point, you could put all the lamb back into the pot. And now I'm going to add some beef stock. And we'll add the rest of the mirepoix with the celery and the carrots. I hand crushed about 5 whole San Marzano tomatoes, and I add a little bit of the puree too as well. Let's mix that well together. We're going to grate some fresh orange zest into our stew. Let's cut the orange in half and squeeze a half of orange, and we're going to add that fresh juice to our stew. I also added 1 tablespoon of honey. Chop up a little fresh parsley and add it to our stew. And some bay leaf. We're going to lower the temperature, we're going to cover, and we're going to simmer this for 40 minutes. Okay, it's been 40 minutes. Let's check on our stew. And this is looking really good. Our last step is we're going to be adding, well, it's not our last step, but we're going to adding the potatoes. You want to use waxy potatoes or boiling potatoes. They stand up very well in soup. I used fingerling potatoes today. And then we're going to cover and we're going to cook for about 30 minutes or until the potatoes are fully cooked. So I'm making some garlic bread. I took the roasted garlic and I diced it up really well, and I'm going to add it to a bowl along with some butter, some extra virgin olive oil, some salt and pepper, some fresh parsley, and a little bit of smoked paprika. Now we need to soften the butter. I forgot to take it out earlier. You could leave it out on the counter. What I do is I just put it a little bit on the heat for a couple of seconds as I mixed it and kind of softened it up. The smoked paprika really gives color and flavor to the garlic toast. Let's check on our stew. It's almost been 30 minutes. At this point, we will adjust any seasoning. So our stew is almost complete, so we're just going to make this garlic toast really quick by spreading the garlic spread that we made onto the toast and just putting it in the oven until they're lightly brown. Voila! At the end, I added a little bit more beef stock to make sure that all my potatoes and lamb was submerged. I did one more last minute adjustment with seasoning, and then we'll remove the bone. You can give that to your dog if you like. I sliced up an orange for garnish. But our last step is to add the peas. They'll cook in about a minute. You could even turn the heat off at this point. Okay, let's eat. So I just dressed up the stew with some garlic toast and an orange slice and a little bit of fresh parsley on top. We'll add a little sprig of thyme. And then we'll finish it off with some fresh parsley, and we will drizzle a little extra virgin olive oil on top. Lamb stew Italian style. You eat? You want to eat? Make this recipe. It's delicious. Okay, that wraps up today's recipe of lamb stew Italian style. And we're just going to give it a little taste test. Now the lamb should just basically just cut with a fork, no problem. This is unbelievable. Although the potato was a little on the green side for my liking, I couldn't really see that because it's inside the bag. I couldn't see all the potato. But they're pretty good. They taste great. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe, and we'll be back next Wednesday with a new recipe. And we'll see you next week.
Here's an offer you shouldn't refuse. Subscribe to this channel.